It was Christmas Eve, and the family were gathered in the living room. The father was reading the newspaper, and the mother was knitting a sweater. The children, Jimbo and Steffa, were stretched out on the floor with their crayons and their coloring books, looking bored. Steffa looked up from her coloring at her father. "Tell us a story," Steffa demanded. "Yeah, a scary one, not a story about Santa Claus," Jimbo insisted. "All right," said their father, "I'm going to tell you about the most fearsome, dangerous, and appalling creature on the earth, called the Grither." "Oh, now you've done it," said the mother. "You said his name out loud." "Who is he?" asked Jimbo. "He's the most awful thing in the world," their father said. "He lives in a cave at the North Pole, the coldest, wettest place on earth. He sleeps in a wreck of a ship that somehow got squeezed into the mouth of a cave. He doesn't mind the cold, and he doesn't mind the wet, but the thing he hates most is to hear someone say his name aloud. He has very good ears, and they get bigger every time his name is spoken. Sometimes his ears even get so big that he can use them to fly." "I don't like this story," Steffa whined. "It's too late now," her mother said. "We've already mentioned his name. The Grither is probably already on his way to our house this very minute." "It will probably take him a while to get here," said the father. "If we finish the story before he gets here, everything will be fine." "Children, do you know why the Grither is called the Grither?" The children shook their heads. "It's because he has fists as big as basketballs and arms as long as boa constrictors. And when he finds people who have been speaking his name, he opens up his fists, reaches out his arms, and he grabs them by the head. And then he squeezes and squeezes until they pop, just like a balloon." "Does he look like Bigfoot?" Jimbo asked. "No," said the father. "He's not like Bigfoot, and he's not like the abominable snowman either. Nobody knows exactly what he looks like, because the only people who've seen the Grither are the ones that the Grither has eaten. It's said that he's as tall as a tree, but he can bend over and touch the ground. His skin looks like a road map, because all of his veins show through. The blue in his veins is for fear, and the red is for rage." "Hurry up and finish the story before he gets here," Steffa cried. The Grither was born on a sailing ship that was blown off course by a storm and got lost in the Arctic Sea. They drifted around for weeks but never saw anything but glaciers and icebergs. Some of the passengers drowned, some froze to death, some starved, and the rest committed suicide. And the Grither was born out of the fear and the rage of the lost crew. "But why does he kill people?" Jimbo asked. "Nobody knows. He just doesn't like anyone telling his story or speaking his name aloud." "Is that all?" questioned Steffa. "Is that the end of the story?" "Not quite," said her father. "There's a little bit more." "Maybe you should stop," the mother interrupted. "I think we've scared them enough." The father chuckled. "You don't believe in the Grither, do you?" "No," said the children. "They lied." "Well, you shouldn't," the father said, "because we made it all up. There's no such thing as the Grither, just like there's no such thing as the Easter Bunny." "But you didn't finish the story," Steffa cried. All of a sudden, the front door blew open, and the room was enveloped in an icy blast of wind. There was a crash, and the sound of breaking glass, and then two huge, gnarled arms reached through the windows and grasped the parents by their heads. As the children watched in horror, the hands squeezed and squeezed until their parents' heads popped, just like two balloons.